Thank God we've come to another time that we can turn to God in prayer. Okay. For this afternoon, I'd like to continue to talk about the importance of praying for wisdom and the correct value system. Right? Like we were saying, in order to really imitate Christ, we have to really appreciate what Christ did and what he said. And in order to really appreciate what Jesus Christ did and said, you have to have the right value system, right? So that really catches your attention, that really makes you admire him, right? And then very naturally, we will want to imitate him, okay? So the other day, we were talking about the importance of having the correct wisdom concerning our relationship with our parents, right? And we looked at some verses in Proverbs. Today we want to continue to look into Proverbs and to gain some more wisdom, but now in a different aspect of our life. Let's now turn to Proverbs chapter 1. Proverbs chapter 1. Last time we read verses 8 and 9, but now let's look at verse 10. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 10. Let's take turns to read. Maybe Wani, can you read from verse 10 through 12? Okay. Now, Solomon turns from our relationship with our parents to our relationship with our peers, right? This is also very important to make sure, right, we have a proper value system and wisdom in, especially at your age, right? You guys are second year NYTS. Many of you probably are like second year college students. You're still relatively young. Right, still early in your college years. How many of you guys feel that you found some good friends in college, on campus, in university? You found some good ones. Right, thank God. Right, thank God. How long did it take before you found them, Anthony? A semester. Okay, a semester. Did you raise your hand, Chris? How long did it take? About a semester. And Anthony, do you dorm? Okay, you commute. Kriska, do you dorm? You dorm. Okay. Yeah. We know that when you're young, especially when you just kind of leave your parents, your greatest influence now are going to be your peers. Right? Your greatest influence is going to be your peers. You're going to spend the most time with friends and less time with your parents. Okay. Even if you commute too, right? Even if you commute, I'm sure like most of your time you're on campus, you are studying with friends, you are eating out, you're maybe hanging out too, and then you come home and then maybe say hi to your parents and then go to your room, right? Yeah. Your biggest influence now are definitely going to be your peers. And here Solomon is telling young people, right? He's saying, my son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. Right? If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol and whole like those who go down to the pit. Right? This is basically talking about how we young people definitely are going to face peer pressure and temptation from our peers. You've already encountered a bunch going into middle school, high school. And college, I think, is a little bit better than high school, right? Do you guys agree or disagree? You think there's more peer pressure in high school than college? Please raise your hand. More peer pressure in college than high school? Raise your hand. Oh, okay. I guess it's a little bit half-half. Okay, I personally thought there's more peer pressure in high school than in college. But regardless, the peer influence is so strong. Okay, and so some of them may want to entice us. They'll say something that's clearly against God's principle, right? Over here, it's basically about staking out and finding some innocent person to go and rob them and beat them up, right? And they're going to also mention either directly or indirectly a lot of benefits if you join them, right? Let's please read verse 13 and 14. 13 and 14. Aris, please read. Proverbs 1, 13 and 14.
We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. 14. Fasten your law among us. Let us all have one verse.
Okay, so verse 10 through 12 was just what they wanted you to do. Verse 13 is now giving the reasons why you should join them, why you should be among their group to do this. And then verse 14 is then kind of asking us again to really become part of them, right? So we have to really be very careful, right, when it comes to our peer influences. I remember many years ago, I was in a particular church, and there was a young guy, probably just your age too. Okay, I think maybe just 18, 19, if I remember correctly. And he got into the wrong crowd, right? So it was almost exactly like the Proverbs passage. He had some friends that, I don't know, I forgot the details, but they basically broke into a house. Okay, they broke into the house, and he was our member. I don't think it was his idea or anything, but he just kind of just followed them. And then he was also involved because I think they didn't expect people to be home, but then people were home, so then they tied them up and everything, right? And then the police came, he was arrested. Oh, maybe he wasn't 18, 19, maybe he was still in high school, okay? Because then he was put into juvenile prison, right? Put in juvenile prison. And he was there for a few years. I remember we went to visit him a couple times. So, of course, I don't think any of us have done something to this type of degree, but we know how influential really our peers can be, okay? Even if there are a lot of attractive reasons to join them, we have to have the right value system, okay? So let's see what Solomon says here, verse 15 through 19. 15 through 19. Angela. Okay, yes. So here Solomon is reminding us, right, that we definitely should not walk in their way, the way of the evildoers. Okay, because in the end, what they do will be in vain, and then what they do will actually be for their own lives. Right? Even though the short term there might be some kind of benefit, you also gain some kind of riches, right? But in the end, they're lying in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own lives. This is basically saying in the end, there will be consequences. In the end, in this life or in the judgment day, God will, will make them accountable, right? Yeah, they will have to eventually pay for what they have done. Okay, so anybody who is greedy for gain, right, will also fall along this trap. Okay? So today we have to be very careful of our peer influence. Let's also go to Proverbs chapter 4. Okay, Proverbs chapter 4. There's also very similar language. Okay, Proverbs chapter 4. Please read verses 14 through 19. Proverbs 4, 14 through 19. Justice. Okay, here you especially see words like path and way, right? Way of the wicked, way of the evil. This was also used in chapter 1, right? Verse like 15. Keep your foot from their path, right? Yeah. Okay, so basically, when we get involved with the wrong type of peers, there's a way that they are actually traveling, right? It's a way that's guided by their lusts and desires. It's guided by the evil one. Okay? And once you get onto this path, right, it's hard to depart from it, right? That's why Solomon says, avoid it. Avoid it. Don't travel on it. Turn away from it and pass on. Okay, we have to think farther ahead, right? Don't just think about the short-term so-called benefits, but think about in the end, where does that road lead to, right? This way is very addictive too, okay? Their way is very addictive. So verse 16, they do not sleep unless they have done evil, right? So all their mind, all their thoughts is obsessing over what more they could do, right, to enjoy themselves and to sin against God. Okay, so today we must truly avoid the path of the evil one, for it will really ensnare us. On the other hand, verse 18 says, the path of the just is like the shining sun that shines ever brighter unto the perfect day. Here, Solomon uses the imagery of sunrise, right, to describe the path of the just. You know, when you first wake up and you see the sun, first light comes out, it's still relatively dark, right? Still relatively dark, right? But then, as time moves on, right, the sun comes out and it's so bright. Same thing with the path of the just. In the beginning, it may seem like you're all alone, right? You seem like there's no advantage. It seems a little bit kind of maybe dim. You don't really see the benefits, right? But the more you walk on the path of the just, then it'll become brighter and brighter, and you will be really walking in God's truth. On the other hand, if you walk in the path of the wicked, it will go into darkness, and then people will stumble and not even know it. Okay. All right, let's also turn to Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6, and let's read verses 1 through 5. Proverbs 6, verses 1 through 5. Ark. Okay, here Solomon is also, he's talking about something a little bit different, but it's also related to peer influence. He says, basically, try to avoid becoming like surety for your friend, right? Like a guarantee, like a co-signer, right? with your friend, or if you shake hands in pledge for a stranger. Okay. This is talking about be careful what kind of commitments and promises you make. Right? Commitments and promises. We know in college time, something very, very much related is like when you pledge for a fraternity, you pledge for a sorority, right? You're making a commitment to that particular group. And I overheard Preacher Raymond that other night too. He was talking about his roommate, right? His roommate. And then very smart guy, but then basically doing crazy things with his fraternity. Right? Yeah, because he signed up for it. Maybe he was really lonely, right? So today, it could be all types of situations. Doesn't have to be necessarily fraternity, but it's basically any kind of commitment, right? It could be also a job, a part-time job, or a course, or like you're doing lab work, and you say, okay, I'll commit this. But if you sometimes may commit and make a promise that eventually hurts yourself, right? That maybe, I can't keep Sabbath anymore. I'm committed, I have to do this. Or you commit to something and you're actually doing things that really sin against God, right? So we really have to be careful about this because the promises that we make really can make us go into trouble. Okay? So these are some of the principles that we see in these first few chapters concerning proper wisdom and value system regarding peer influence, right? Be very careful in the friends that we select. Really watch, it's better to kind of observe more than jump into a friendship that actually may take you down the wrong path, right? Don't just think, this guy looks really cool, this guy's really interesting, or he looks really successful, and then you just follow what he does. But we actually need to think clearly, is his way the way of the wicked or his way the path of the just? Okay. If we can have this proper value system, then the trajectory of our life should be pretty good. Right? Should be pretty good. On the other hand, if we keep on getting drawn into the path of the wicked, then we may become more and more secular, more and more like the evil one. It reminds me of Lot, right? Lot, he separated from Abraham, his uncle, and then he saw the very fertile ground of Canaan, and then he pitched his tent there, right? That's where he said, okay, my livestock, we're going to go that way. And the Bible says he moved his tent closer and closer to Sodom. And the way he got caught up in the life of the wicked, right? To the point where his daughters, his wife, they were all influenced by the Canaanite secular thinking, right? Not secular technically, but Gentile thinking, right? And then even the sons-in-law, right? Of course, they just laughed when the angels were about to rescue them. And then later on, the life was so tragic. The daughters, right? And how they eventually became pregnant, right? That was very tragic. All of this was because Lot only looked for short-term gain, right? And then it actually impacted his whole life and his future generations. Okay, so we know that Jesus Christ, he had a very core group, right? Jesus Christ was actually very careful in selecting his disciples, his friends. Okay? According to Luke, let's go to Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6, and let's read verse 12. Luke chapter 6, verse 12 and 13. 12 and 13. Can Helen please read? Can you read louder? Okay, yeah, right? How did Jesus pick these 12 disciples, apostles? It says, of course, he already met some of them before, right? He already met some of them before. Like Luke 5, by then he had met Peter, Andrew, James, and John. And according to the Gospel of John, Andrew was the first one who actually met Jesus Christ. So he had met many, many people. He had met many, many followers too. Right? But who were the ones that were to be the closest to him? Well, what he did was he prayed all night. Right? He prayed all night. And then when it was day, then he called his disciples to himself. And from them, okay, from all those disciples, maybe hundreds, he chose 12, whom he also named apostles. Right? Obviously, one of them was Judas. Okay, but in the beginning, he probably was very good, very upright. Yeah, but you see, Jesus Christ, when he was choosing the ones that would be his closest people that he would spend the most time with, he prayed. Okay, he prayed. So today, thank God I saw some of you you feel like you found some good friends. That's good. But if you haven't yet, I think a good thing that you can do is, you can pray to God too, right? Pray to God. God, in university, on campus, I hope to meet good people. I hope that these people can be a positive influence to me, and I can be a positive influence to them. That these could be possibly people that I also bring to church, and that we can be lifelong friends, right? You could put this in prayer, right? To find, the ones that are, really more suitable for us as Christians. When I was in university, thank God, I went at a time where there were other church members also in that university, right? My freshman year, there were 5 of us in the university, 4 undergrad and 1 graduate student. Actually, there was technically a 6th, but she didn't really come. Okay, yeah. And then my second year, 6 people joined. Right? So there was there's like over 10 now, over 10. So thank God we had this core group, right? But also my freshman year, my first semester, I also, just went to classes and just met, various people here and there. But thank God, by the beginning of the second semester, could find also a very good group, right? A good group. And then later, you guys probably know Brother Andy. Brother Andy and I were the same year, same major, same. Okay. And eventually, he also kind of met them, and then we all kind of had this kind of friend group there. And then many of them we invited to our college campus. Some of them went to church. One of them even joined NYTS for a few days with us, right? So I really look back and thank God for that really fun time, right? We hung out and did homework, but we also sometimes would chat about faith and those type of things, okay? So I hope that God can really guide you to find a good core group. Obviously, if there's members in your campus, you should meet up, okay? Don't be strangers to people that are on your campus and then you don't even meet up. I know sometimes that happens. Right? But meet up, start something. Maybe just have a quick prayer every week. Right? So those are, of course, can be your friends. And then some other people from classes or other clubs can also be, hopefully good friends, good influences. If we can really be careful and mindful of those that we associate with, and even pray about it, then I think, your university years will be very joyful, very smooth, and then you won't be led into, the wrong path. Okay. At the same time, be very mindful of the commitments that you might be making. Right. Don't make promises to your own hurt. Right. Whether it is a club, whether it is you joining a laboratory or doing some type of research, be careful of your commitments. Okay? And if we have that proper value system, then yeah, thank God we can, I think, really imitate Christ. Okay, and we have people around us to go on this heavenly journey together. Okay, so now we're gonna come up and pray. I saw that all of you guys are wearing masks now. One day I'm gone and everyone's wearing masks. I guess some people aren't feeling that well. Let's pray for one another that in this second week we can continue to focus and continue to gain, spiritual nourishment, spiritual power through prayer, so that we can really imitate Christ and glorify Him. Let's now come up and pray.